Well, hello there, and thanks so much for joining me today. I want to welcome you to the very first show of Best of Both Worlds. That means that we're doing freehand and using our computerized quilting in combination. And I have a confession to make. I don't know everything there is to know about the Statler Stitcher yet, but I'm going to learn, hopefully, right along with you. And what I do know is absolutely wonderful. To be able to add my freehand around those designs is awesome. Today, I'm working on quite an undertaking, a Baltimore Album for our first project. Here's the Baltimore Album before it's quilted. It's a beautiful quilt top, and it was made by June Sabantinos, who lives in Rigby, Idaho. And I'm very excited to do this for her. The first thing that we have to do is stabilize the quilt. So as we come down, since there are no seams on this quilt, there's only applique. So we will need to go around every piece of applique. And I do that by dropping the belts and using my applique helper. So let's get started on that. Now that I've dropped the belts on the machine, I am going to add the extended base. And this is a tool that you can get for the machine that is wonderful. Anytime you're going to be using tools or stitching in the ditch or going around applique, you will need the extended base on the machine. So let me show you how to put that on. This is the extended base for the Gammill machine. And you can see this area right here is a little bit lower, and it has the place for the oil. So you can leave it on for a long time if you want to. I don't usually do it when I'm doing my freehand, but and it has this spring that's covered with the plastic so it won't hurt your hand. And all you really need to do is just slide it over that throat plate a little bit like that, and then just lift that spring down and it will just snap into place. Takes you like 5 seconds. And then to take it off, I just bring it up like that, bring the spring down, and just slide it off like that. Magic. At the top, I have all of these icons, and I'm just going to, if I click here, I'll be in regulated. If I click here, I'll be in constant speed. So I'm going to want to be in regulated for stitching around the applique so that I can do it carefully and not worry about turning on and off the machine. So I click on that. And then I can come down in the bottom right corner, and I see that I'm in 16 stitches to the inch, and that's exactly where I want to be. If I wanted to be in less stitches, I could do the arrow down or the arrow up. But 16 is good for going around applique. Okay, now that I've got everything set, I will go down and get my thread. And I'm going to be going right along this seam here, right against the applique. Your goal will be to do stitching right next to the applique. And I use the applique helper. You can also hold on behind like this, but that gets really tedious and your hand kind of cramps after a while. If you use the applique helper, you can just put it on like that, and then I put my thumb right there on that curve, and then I can keep my hand nice and flat as I come across here. And let your left hand be your guide. I am just stitching right next to that. I'm actually watching the needle because I want to stay right next to the applique. One of the things that you want to have when you're using a tool like this, like the applique helper, is you want to make sure that your quilt is fairly tight and that your clamps are on so that your quilt does not move with you. Now, in this little area right here, I'm going to go around it right next to the applique. Having 16 stitches to the inch when you're going around your applique, really, your machine moves so well and responds so quickly to you. Now I'm going to stop it there, and even though I'm just doing a pinwheel there, then I'm going to come back and forth like this and just echo that all the way down, and I'll do that in each corner, and that will just fill that area in nicely. This repetitive design is very soothing to look at. There we go. And I'll just do a few stitches to secure that since I'm in manual. While I'm in this area, I am going to just gently echo around this rose, this appliqued rose, and I'm going to do that 3 times. And I'm not worried if I'm exactly a 1/4 inch. I just know it's going to look really pretty. In fact, I don't think I want it exactly a 1/4 inch. There we go. I looked for a design that would fit in here that I could use with the computer. But in fact, everything I found just didn't come along this edge the way I wanted it to. And I also found out that, as you know, quilts are just quilts, they're fabric, and that not all of these were exactly the same size and exactly the same angle, so it was very difficult. Before I go on into the next part, I want to show you some of the things that I did. I actually had a pattern digitized to go here, but you can see the gaps that I had, and then I thought, well, I could fill those in, but it just wasn't worth it. And then I even did one pattern that I recorded my stitching, and then I went back, and you can see I fixed this side over here. But it was then that I realized that these patterns weren't all the same size and the curves were all going to be different. So it was going to be more work on each one than it would be just to do it freehand to begin with. So I'm going to do it freehand. I wanted a heart in here, so I used my little heart template. This is just the 3-inch heart template, and I'm going to start right there on the side. Bring up my thread here and take a couple little stitches there. I don't need many because I will cross that area again. Now, when you're using a template, I do have the extended base underneath here. So all I have to do is keep my machine right along the edge of that. And while I'm here, I'm going to do a little teardrop there. That was not hard. You could draw a teardrop, and I bet you could quilt it. So then I'm going to come over here using that edge again, and that'll bring me right to the edge there. Okay? So I just used the top of that for the heart shape. And I'm coming out here, and I'm going to kind of touch there and then out again and down in here. Out, touch, and over like this. Kind of fills in that space a little bit, makes it a little bit wonky. And now I'm going to do long arm purls. And for this, I will just sort of use my hand behind here because I'm going to follow the edge of the heart, and then I'll come around like that. Follow the edge of the heart so it's flat, and then round, flat, round. Follow the edge of the heart. And then down here in the middle, I want a circle at the bottom. There we go. And then again, following this edge of the heart like this, so I follow it over and then back around to make the circle. If you just try to do circles, they look like E's, and we don't want that. So now I'm going to come over like this, and I'm going to do some feathers on this side. Now, if you wanted to, you could just make a little reference line there. I can kind of see that that's the middle, but if you need a reference line, you could also put a piece of tape right there, masking tape. Because what I'm going to do, and I'll just do it slow, is I'm going to come up here like this and come around like that, follow that back around, and then come back pretty close to the center again, and then come out again and back. And then I'm going to do 4 more, and I'm not coming clear to the edge of the quilt because, as you know, we are going to have to bind it. And that one I know is going to get cut off, but that's okay because I got this last one in, so I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to come over here, do that one more time, follow that back around, and then stop there. These are going to come over here, so I just come over like that, follow that back, and back in here. Over, follow it back, and back over here. And I'm coming right to the edge of that applique. You can see how nicely that fills in. Just beautifully fills that in. And I'll just touch the edge of that one so they just meet right there. You see how they just meet in the middle? And then here's a little one that's coming over here like this, and I can put another one right here. And then before I leave this area, I'm going to echo right off the edge of the quilt. And I know that probably some of that will get either under the binding or maybe even cut off a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. Stippling and echo can go right off the edge of your quilt and under your binding. And we know when they square this up, sometimes some of it gets cut off, and that's okay too. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to stop and cut my thread here, because I need to do the other side. All right, so I have I cut my thread here, and I'm back to the middle of the heart, and I've taken some little stitches. So now I'm going to show you how I meet those. See, I'm just meeting those right up with the ones that I've already done. Like that. And then this will be 1. And I come up and back down, and it gets really narrow when it comes in here, and that leaves me enough room to come back with my other feathers on the bottom and right next to the applique to fill that in so beautifully. By the way, I am using an embroidery thread, which I absolutely love. And this is going to come over here and then back halfway, and another one right here. Now I could see that I'm halfway here, but you could put a piece of tape in those places to help you visualize that, or make just a little chalk mark if you need to with your chalk pencil. And then again, I'll come out here and I will just echo off the edge. And I did that all the way around. And then I can meet up with the next one when I do it. And I will do the corner exactly the same way. I increased my speed to 65 because 50 was just not fast enough. I'm coming out here, so I'm doing exactly the same thing that I did on the other side. The difference here is that this is kind of gone to the side, so it's not a straight heart like this. It's kind of wonky to the side like that, which I absolutely adore. And coming down here again like that, and going around. If you miss those circles, here they are again. This time I'm in constant though. Okay, so I'm not in regulated. Many people like to sew in constant, and I happen to be one of them. Now, this side I would do the very same as I did on these others, but this side's a little different. I have a miter line over here. It's actually a seam, and so that's my guide. I'm going to bring the edges of those feathers over there, and then when I do this side, they'll come together and it'll look fantastic. So I'll come up here again, and that's just in the beginning there. And I know that that feather probably will get cut off. Two, three, four, and over here. And I'll just keep going. The hardest part of this feather is, of course, going right back on the same line. And, you know, sometimes it's not perfect, but it's close. And I just continue over and stopping there, continue over here, and stop there, and then one more in the corner like that. And then I'll come back. I'll make some little feathers here. I'm pretty sure they're going to get cut off. One of the things you can do is if you came, like I came out too far on this feather, not a big deal. Since I'm going to come back and echo all of these right off the edge, then all I have to do is jump down inside of it like that to make sure that it doesn't get cut off. Just come down and echo inside of it. How cool is that? This is the most fun ever. And so these are all prepared and ready for this side to come over, and I'll do 3 feathers there that will meet with that. That was super fun doing freehand today with the belts off of the machine. And next time when you join me, we'll be putting some of the designs in using the Statler. So make sure that you check back often. See you next time. For products, patterns, and retreats, visit lindavtaylor.com.